150 years ago, on December 16th, 1773, there was an amazing protest in Boston, Massachusetts, and that became the protest of the Boston Tea Party. The Sons of Liberty in Boston, Massachusetts, and the target was 3 ships that were in port in the Boston Harbor, and their plan was to board those 3 ships and throw over all 342 crates of tea into the Boston Harbor to protest against taxes and British rule. That later spawned many other events. One was the event of the Battle of Lexington and Concord that went on to be the American Revolutionary War. Such an amazing protest against government, against rule, taking things back, standing with your beliefs and not backing down, and spawned the amazing phrase that we heard that came out of that protest: no taxation without representation. Amazing. And I'm so proud that I live in the state of Massachusetts, because we don't take any shit, and we call shit out. So welcome everybody to the LTL True Crime Podcast. Again, it's December 16, 2023. Want to welcome everybody back in to the live show. I want to welcome all the brand new subscribers that have subscribed to LTL. The channel is picking up the paces. We're nearing 12,500 subscribers, and I have some really great shows planned this week, and we're going to be getting the second dump of the Brent Kopaka videos, which we will be releasing hopefully sometime this week. If not, maybe after the Christmas holiday. I haven't made up my mind and all of that. But I want to welcome, again, everybody in, my subscribers, my members, my mods are here. Thank you all for being here. Yes, Rubicon, new sub. Well, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. This is Let's Talk Live. About 95% of the material here that you're going to get on this channel is live. I'm pretty much live almost every night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If I have to work, I'm not live, and I try to make up that stream in some other way. So welcome here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So tonight, we are going to get into Idaho 4. I still have the demolition of King Road is still bothering me. So we're going to talk about that. And in an exclusive interview with Banfield, there's been some new information that Steve Goncalves has talked about. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to go back and look at a recent interview they did, Steve and Christy, about a month ago. And I kept saying, we went through it, that they are leaving little nuggets out there. I think they sense their frustration. I think they want to get this trial on. I think the state is very confident. I think there's a shit ton of evidence in this case that we haven't heard or seen yet. I think the case file is huge. You know, as of right now, if I'm counting correctly, there's over 10 inquiries for discovery. That leads me to believe this case file is large. Remember, they have a very large digital file as well, too, with many videos to go through, many case files, over 10,000 documents in that case file. Hours of video footage. What's on that video? What's in that footage? But Steve made a comment on Banfield that he had seen video of the white Hyundai Elantra that no one has. And we're going to talk about that tonight, too. But before we get into all of that, I just want to do this really quick. As you know, I'm trying to become a full-time creator by the end of 2024. That is my goal. So about this time next year in 2024, I'm trying to make my dream come true. Completely independent media channel. That is my dream. That is my goal. And if you want to do that and you want to help support me, there's multiple ways. We'll have Nightbot in here dropping multiple links if you would like to donate through that. Also, I've been using this app here, and it's been a fantastic website. It's called Buy Me a Coffee, and that link is pinned up above. And what you can do is just go down over here. All my donations can be made right on the landing page, on the homepage right here. And if you want, I also have memberships that are available too. This would be on a monthly basis. And as this website grows, I will be putting things in for certain members and doing some members only events. And if that doesn't tickle your fancy, you'll also can join down below with the join button. $1.99, support the channel a month. It's super less than a cup of coffee. And that will get you access to all of our members only streams on YouTube. You can't access them through Buy Me a Coffee, but you can access those streams through the members, excuse me, being a member here on YouTube. And also we have super chats available, super stickers, all that fun stuff. So that's my speech for tonight in supporting the channel. I appreciate you listening to that, but let's get a little bit into this, the Idaho 4. And I referenced this last night, this Fox News article, Idaho 4 murders, King Road house where Bryan Kohberger allegedly killed 4 students to be demolished. And that is going to be on December 28th. I have a huge problem. I get a huge problem with it. I have a huge problem. This bothers me. This bothers me. I don't think it's time to move on yet. I respect it. I respect at some point that we're going to have to. But I still think the house is the critical piece of evidence. If the most, I mean, that's where everything happened. We're going to get an idea of the space for the house. We're going to get an idea for how that house is constructed, the way that it is, what could be heard in that house, where were the victims in the house, what other clues and evidence were inside that house. Maybe the jury wants to go back and stand in that environment for themselves. That's a very critical thing, to actually go and walk through and look, get a feeling for the acoustics inside that house. And when I say acoustics, that means that when you're in a room and you're projecting your voice will bounce off walls. That's how we hear. Sound bounces out, comes back, and that's how we develop sound, through a sound wave. You know, they're going to probably want to hear, you know, maybe a couple of them want to be down in those lower rooms and people up above. Can you hear what's going on upstairs? If I tap my foot or bump the wall, can I hear any of that outside the house? That's important. And if you tear that structure down, and if there's questions, you're not able to go back to that building. It's gone, erased from time. And I think the other thing that bothers me about this is the university all of a sudden just has the say in it. I mean, I understand the house was donated to the university, but now they're putting this timeline in. They're going to step in and say, yeah, we're going to tear this down. Why are you tearing it down before the trial? I have a feeling why. They want to make it go away before the next school semester. They probably want to have that memorial built. And I talked about this yesterday, and I'm perfectly fine with going out on the record saying this. Is this a cash grab from the college? Get that memorial up. Get people. I mean, there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people that go there to probably visit that site. What's going to happen? People are going to have to come into town. People are going to have to eat. People are going to have to stay places. And I get it. You want to go there and pay your respect to these 4 victims that were brutally murdered. Of course, we should be given that. But I don't want to turn this into a cash grab. I don't want to turn this into a disgusting thing like I saw when I talked about yesterday when I went out and visited the 9/11 memorial in New York. You go there and you walk in and you walk kind of this path, and it gets, I don't know if you've ever been there, I'm describing it. You walk through and you come to the fountains, and they're huge, and they have these bronze plates that surround the fountains with all the names on it, the flight manifests, the names, the people that died inside those buildings tragically. And you get to see the grandeur, the scale of everything that's there and how big these buildings absolutely were. And I'm standing there and I'm taking in the moment, and it's sad, and I'm crying. I have tears in my eyes, and I'm looking around me, and there's a lady on a bench and she's crying. She's by herself. And I look and I'm like, gee, did she know someone in the building, or was it just the event of that day that's overcome her? Is she from New York? All these questions go through. Did her daughter die? Did her husband die? Did someone that die? And you're sitting there and you're seeing that dynamic deep down inside. And then you turn and it's a tourist trap. And people are taking selfies. And people are laughing. And people are smiling. And I felt like standing on top of those bronze structures and yelling at everybody and say, do you realize what happened here? Do you get it? This is not the space and time. I just don't want that to happen with this healing garden. And that's what the school says it wants to build, a healing garden. And I get it. Something should be there. But we have to make sure that the families are 100,000,000,000% involved with the final decision on what goes there. It's their child's lives that were lost. And I don't think that it should just be a school decision, the college's decision. We need to get the families involved. They should all have to sign off on what goes there. How do you feel? How do you feel about this? Let me know in the chat. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with the King Road house being demolished before the trial? Are you okay with this healing garden going in? What are your expectations? Because it really bothers me. I'm pissed. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that's pissed. And I'll show you. We talked about this last night. Statement from the Goncalves family on the behalf of Shannon Gray. Let me just enlarge this here. Statement on behalf of the Goncalves family. Let us ask this: isn't it better to have the King Road house and not need it than need the King Road house and not have it? That has been our question to the prosecution and University in Idaho for the entire time of the demo of the King Road, and it has been an issue. But why is it even up for discussion? This is one of the most horrific crimes in history of Idaho, and the University of Idaho wants to destroy one of the most critical pieces of evidence in this case. And it is important to make note that there is now a demolition date before there is even a trial date set. And this alone speaks volumes. It is obvious from the two recent visits to the house by both the prosecution and defense that there is still evidentiary value in having the King Road house still standing. There are many additions discovery by either party that prompts one side or the other to go back to the scene of the crime. Has always been a dialogue about the 3D imaging, or they are building a model to replicate the home, etc. First and foremost, what a waste of state money and resources. And secondly, nothing replaces the real thing. And that's 1000%. When a structure is built, the way that it is built, the way that it is painted, the way that the floors are put in, if it has a ceiling fan, whatever it is, the specific acoustics to that room will only be specific to that room forever. That's why here, I'll give you an example. One of the most famous recording studios, seriously, of all time, that has put out many, 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 many platinum albums, and I think it's not there anymore, and forgive me on that. I think it's now since gone. But Sound City is a recording studio out in California. Many, 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 many famous albums. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers recorded there. Aerosmith is recorded there. Nirvana, the Nevermind album. but the acoustics of those room A and B are what they are. That's never going to change. That the way that room is. And I think it was Studio A in Sound City. There's a documentary about it. Fantastic documentary, by the way. Is like one of the, everybody wanted to record there because they called it the drum room, was the great room. The way that drums sound in that room for rock albums were amazing. You'll never get that back. And the funny thing about it is that room, the way it was laid out and the acoustics that drew off that room, it's technically, it shouldn't sound the way it did, but it did. So, my point is, if you tear that down, you can't rebuild it in a model or replicate the acoustics or the sound, the way that the sound bounces off the walls there. What if they want to go in and the jury wants to hear sound testing? What if they want to go in and stomp on the floor? Can I hear something hit the wall? Can I hear that downstairs? Can I hear this outside? You're not going to be able to do that if the house is gone. So let me go on to read here. Let's see. It would be foolish for us to try to foresee what we need. I'm sorry. What a waste. Secondly, jurors are notoriously predictable, and they tend to make decisions on a variety of facts and circumstances. It would be foolish of us to try to foresee what they want or need to make to just verdict in this case. The family has stressed tirelessly to the prosecution and the University of Idaho the importance, evidentiary and emotionally, that the King Road house carries, but nobody seems to care enough. It's like screaming into a void. Nobody listening, and everyone tells you how sorry they are for the decision, but the family's opinion isn't a priority. Victims' families have a voice and should be heard and listened to. I think that's a fantastic statement. Very well written, straight to the point. I don't know how much weight it's going to carry. But at least it's out there and it's on the record. And, it makes me feel good that the Goncalves family is fighting back. And they've been very, very vocal in this case. And I'm thankful for that. Super, super thankful. They've really been the only ones, really out in the media and giving us kind of updates as this case has gone on. And I think recently they've given a lot of nuggets. There was a recent interview with Brian Enton, and I want to get to that. But first I do that. Let me just recognize this because this passed by a while ago, and I apologize. Sweet and Sleuthy has become a member. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that. And I also want to recognize, I saw something come through on Buy Me a Coffee. Let me just pull that up and recognize that as well. Thank you for the support over there as well. Lady Law, thank you so much for the 5 on Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate the support. And thank you for being a fantastic moderator in the group. And thanks for being here. I get it. You're very busy. You're very busy at school and you're working towards that law degree. And I think that's amazing. And, we love having you part of the mod team. So thank you. But I want to go back to the Brian Enton video before we go forward. And, we'll get into talking about what Steve said about some video apparently that no one has seen. And let me just go back to minute 27 in the interview. And this is going to talk about the King Road house and how they feel about it. So let's play this. Christy and Steve, this was back on November 14, 2023. So right around the 1 year mark. And this is from News Nation. Brian Enton interviewing Christy and Steve, and let's see what they say about the King Road house.
They're pissed off and they're going about doing everything in their power to make sure that these kids are, they're going to get the form of justice that they deserve, where that's not the case all across America. We have pockets of areas where they have that more killings in one weekend.
Yeah.
And it's not even on TV. So yeah. I think some people look at that and they're like, you know what? Even though this tragedy happened, it wasn't a local, it was an outsider. There's not going to be outsiders that are all like that. It was just an extreme event from some misfit.
By the way, and I want to give a shout out here because Chris over at the Mob Crew has been killing it lately. He's put together an amazing video, putting together all of the Linda Lane footage using the Banfield video and kind of twining that all together. And he enhanced the sound on it so you can hear the Kohberger passes. And I'm telling you, I was watching some of it today. His work over there has been amazing. If you haven't gone over, and I'm sure you know of him, go over and subscribe to the Mob Crew. I was watching some of his live today, and I wish I just had the time and the skill to put together what he did, but it's such an amazing video that he's done, and I urge you to go over and watch those lives. I think he's done 2 of them now on that video, and it really times up. It's amazing video, and he's been cracking some really cool stuff over there lately. So yeah, it's really, really good. All right, let's get into Christy and Steve talking about the King Road house.
And they'll probably never have an incident for decades to come.
Right.
And that's what we all hope for, you know.
But with the house, you know, you guys fought really hard. I'm sure it was uncomfortable at times to have to come out and, you know, speak out against the university and the prosecution.
I was like hiding under my bed the whole time.
Yeah,
him
but
and Shannon were out there, and I was like,
you were fighting it. And I could tell it was uncomfortable, but and they kept saying, you know, but we don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
And then to see the FBI there again and all the boards taken off this week.
It was really hard.
I knew.
Carrie, thanks for the 5. Gifting out the 5 members. I appreciate that. Thank you, Carrie. El Detecte de Juan, welcome to the membership. Knox Girl, welcome. Creepy Crystal, welcome back in. Kerry, welcome as Kelly, welcome as well. And I think there should be one more that comes up. 1, 2, 3, 4. There was only 4. That's interesting. That happened before. I don't know why it does that. Okay, let's play this.
In my heart, what was best for those girls and Ethan, I knew what was best was to keep that around until they did more. And there'll be a point when I'll be like, you know what? Let it go. Let it go.
And our agenda of keeping it around isn't because, you know, it's going to be so sad when it's torn down. I mean, that is going to be sad to me. And people think, how can that tear it down? And it's just like, look, my daughter lived a happy life there. Yes, she was murdered there, ultimately murdered. But that was this much time. You know, we have pictures of them in the house. When that house goes, it's going to be hard. I don't want to go in it. I've never even been to the house.
That's
I've never drove by it. I don't want to. But it's still going to be when they're like, that house is gone.
I'm wondering if Christy means I haven't been to the house since all this happened. Because I would find it strange that she hadn't gone there and visited prior to obviously what happened. But I'm wondering if she's saying, I haven't even been to the house, meaning after what happened. Let's go back and listen to that again, because that's something that struck me this morning when I got up and I was reviewing video about this this morning. I was kind of trying to wonder where she was coming from on that. Yeah, I think that's what she I haven't been to and nor would I want to go there. I'm sure Steve has obviously gone. I could see Steve being a little bit more into doing that and seeing what's going on if they, even just let him come by. I don't think they're going to let him in the house, but, I'm sure he's been, driven by. But that's something that I was thinking about. Let's go back and just listen to a little bit of that again.
The board's taken off this week.
It was really hard.
I knew in my heart what was best for those girls and Ethan. I knew what was best was to keep that around until they did more. And there'll be a point when I'll be like, you know what? Let it go. Let it go.
And our agenda of keeping it around isn't because, it's going to be so sad when it's torn down. I mean, that is going to be sad to me. And people think, how can that tear it down? And it's just like, look, Like, my daughter lived a happy life there. Yes, she was murdered there, ultimately murdered, but that was this much time. You know, we have pictures of them in the house. When that house goes, it's going to be hard. I don't want to go in it. I've never even been to the house. I've never drove by it. I don't want to, but it's still going to be when they're like, that house is gone.
Okay, maybe she hasn't been. Now that I'm kind of listening to it again, maybe she hasn't gone. It kind of sounds like she hasn't. I had to go back and listen to that again. So maybe maybe I was wrong on that. She had never even been there before. But now obviously she's not going to want to go. I mean, I get that.
It is going to be very emotional for me. But that wasn't why the emotional side of things. It was strictly like, is this good for the prosecution? Is this good for the case? And I like I said, we don't know any of this stuff, but reading, and they talk about how jury members walk through crime scenes and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is crazy.
And why take the chance? I mean, just why not just wait, even if it's a year or two?
Yeah. And I mean, and he said there is no evidentiary value in that house at all. He said walls and flooring and the acoustics are not the same.
If anybody
points aren't the same.
Yeah, the acoustic bothered me. And I was like, well,
I'm going to go back and listen to that again too, because I think that's important. Let me just recognize this. Lady Law, thank you so much for gifting the one membership. KDP, welcome to the members. Welcome to the members group. And the way that these free memberships work, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands this is kind of a 1 month free on those people that drop these out to these gifted memberships. So it's a $4.99 membership. And when that expires, your time expires, all I do is ask you to sign back up. You don't even have to sign up for a $4.99. You can do a $1.99, and it still gives you access to all the members only content. All right, let's keep playing on here. I just want to go back and hear that again about the acoustics, because this is important.
Is this good for the prosecution? Is this good for the case? And I like I said, we don't know any of this stuff, but reading, and they talk about how jury members walk through crime scenes
on November 14th, 2023. So about a month ago, almost a month to the date. A month and just a couple more days over. This is probably the most, I think it's my most favorite interview with them. I think it's the most telling. They give a lot of nuggets in here, and we're going to talk about Kaylee's phone again. I think that's important because I said Steve and Christy have been leaving little breadcrumbs along the way. And Steve last night on Banfield left out a major breadcrumb, almost, and I want to go over that as well. So let's keep playing this.
And stuff like that. And I'm like, this is crazy.
And why take the chance? I mean, why not just wait, even if it's a year or two?
Yeah.
You're
and
welcome,
I mean, and he said there is no evidentiary value in that house at all. He said walls and flooring and the acoustics are not the same.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think in the sense that they may mean when the furniture's not in there, because I'm sure they did mapping and sound testing when all the furniture was in there. Then they moved it out, probably did mapping and sound testing as well. But a space doesn't change. Maybe if the floor was all ripped out, I could see that happening, and that probably happened. Walls, sections of walls were cut out, probably for blood splatter and stuff like that to clean up the biohazard. But it was funny. Chris from Mob Crew made a point today. It was kind of funny. And I'm going to talk about that in a video that we're going to play here in a minute. But let's get through the rest of this about their opinion on King Road.
Anybody talk? Yeah, the acoustic bothered me. And I was like, well, this guy was here 12 times that we have documented. I'm taking you for your word for what you said. If he's there 12 times, where was he parking? And what could he see from those locations? Was he looking through windows and seeing these people?
I have to agree. I really have to agree, SRB, I'm sorry. I really have to agree. We were talking about a case that was on Netflix called The Staircase. Michael Peterson had been accused of murdering his wife and ultimately was convicted of killing his wife. And I don't think he did. I might be one of those weirdos and maybe it's a conspiracy theory that I believe in, but I believe the owl theory. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. Just type into your Google search the staircase, the owl theory. I feel very strong that happened to his wife that night. But even leading up to the trial, he left the blood all over the walls. He was told to leave it that way. And the jurors came and visited the home to see it, to get into that space, to get onto that staircase and stand there to see what the person, what it would feel like there when you're standing in that space. Things feel different in a room. Like if I sit in my room and then I go to work, that the room at work is much larger. It's bigger. But as I'm sitting here in my bedroom, it feels more confined. It's smaller. You get kind of a feel for the space, because that's what I was talking about before. Reverberation. Reverberation is, when you're the sound that you were projecting is bouncing off the walls and coming back to your ears. That's a very important point to pick up audio cues and visual cues. It's so my reverberation in here is a lot different than the room at work. It's much larger. Sound carries further. Here it's more dampened. It's a smaller room. So you're going to want to know about that. You want to get that feeling for a room. You go to someone's house and it's new. You've never been there before. It kind of feels weird. You haven't been in it. But then after a while, when you go visit that, maybe a friend's house or whatever, you go a couple more times, you start kind of getting a feeling for that house. I hope you all kind of understand where I'm getting at. Or even just being in a car. You drive in your car every day. You have a feeling for how that car feels when you're in it. And then say you get out of it and you drive in someone else's car, it feels weird. One, because you're not driving, but two, you're in a kind of a foreign car. Haven't been in this environment before. But after a while, your body starts to get kind of a feel for it. So it's I just think tearing the house down is not good. It's just not good. All right, let's keep playing through here.
And those are all parts that would explain motivation. Was he there stalking? Was he obsessed with these individuals?
Thank you for being
so
here. We love all the new.
You can't tell me with the house.
We love all the new names. I'm going to tell you, all of you all tonight. We got about 131 in here. I'm looking into the camera. Okay. Don't wait for YouTube notifications. They suck. Okay. Even if you have the bells notifications turned on, I'm going to tell you this and straight up. I'm looking at everybody in the camera. See me? Most, if not about 95% of my streams happen nightly at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I stream almost every night. Maybe like 2 nights a week. I don't, just because I work late, or I may pop up with a later stream. But I'm telling you all right now, I'm looking at you in your eyes. Don't wait for the bell notifications. They're not going to notify you. Just come to LTL True Crime Podcast, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard. Pop by. Hey, is he on tonight? You can pop by an hour before. I drop my thumbnails at about 7 o'clock in the morning, so I already have my topic lined out. You know what I'm going to talk about. And then you can come by for the live show, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do not wait for the bell notifications. It's not going to notify you. I have people in here that have followed me all the way through. They have their bell notifications turned on and they still don't get notifications. So YouTube, you suck. You need to fix that system. I know you never will, because you don't like live streamers. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on.
Being gone, you can give somebody the view of somebody parking right there, which is, 200 feet away. You want to look in that window and say, oh, I can totally see somebody walking through there right now. Mm. I can see it's a red shirt that they got on. Mm-hmm. They got a bandana on. Those little details of where, oh, that's why he sat there for half an hour.
Great to have you here. We love having you. We love the
So those were the things that I wasn't sure they had been captured. So now that they are, it'll be less and less.
The stuff they're doing now is the same stuff they did before, and they're just doing it again, or brand new stuff. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they did before. I don't know what they're doing now. I do know that rendering. I feel like this time around they were a little careless, because people did snap some photos, and I wasn't real happy. I mean, they're just I mean, it was a photo of Maddie's room. Olivia sent it to me today, and I was like, whoa. It was a picture of Maddie's room and the walls cut out.
Yeah, and they told us about that, and that's they're trying to protect us.
We had not seen any of that, the cutout walls at all.
It was nothing as bad as what we'd seen with the mattresses and other things too.
See, and this is what I'm saying. If y'all haven't seen this video, and I'm going to drop the link, put this on your bookmarks or whatever. If you haven't seen it, this video, this interview with Stephen Christie is one of the most telling interviews they've given so far. There is about, I'm going to be 100 nuggets here that they let out, and maybe I'm just going overboard, but I'm telling you, I just caught that. I just caught that for the first time, and I've watched this maybe 3 or 4 times, and every time I listen to it, I hear something new. So this is a very, very good interview. If you want to know more about what's going on, or what they've seen, or what are the potential things that we could be seeing in the trial, the things that they know, they don't know a lot. They haven't heard a lot. They're not given a lot, but they know some things. And there's little nuggets here. I'm telling you, what do they call them? Easter eggs. There's little Easter eggs. All right, let's play this.
And some pretty bad stuff.
I think they actually did a really good job getting the stuff out. And
I just dropped the link. Check it out.
The police officers.
I know when they removed the kids in the first place. People always ask about that, and they'll even ask us about it and stuff. And I'm like, ew, why are you don't ask me this.
Lady Law, thank you so much for the gifted membership. Let's see. Jenny's Creative Studio. Welcome to the membership group. Again, that's 1 free month on from one of my moderators. And then I start thinking, I'm like, they did that. Good. I'm so glad they don't have pictures of that. And they tried with the mattresses. I'm sure you saw those pictures, but they tried. Mm-hmm. They were definitely like, get out of the way and let's get out of here with these. But that was, the mattresses tore me up. But
it just seems though, like, I think some people were questioning, like, oh, do you just kind of sit back and stay quiet through this process, or do you kind of have to fight for your child?
You have to.
And it seems like, you still have to be their voice.
100%.
Yeah, this kind of shows that.
All right, so I'm going to bounce out of this, but we're going to come back to it because I want to talk about more of the home of the demoing the home. Again, if you're just getting in here, I'm pissed off. I think a lot of people in the chat, or the people that follow my channel, are very angry at this decision as well. Obviously, we read the statement from Shannon Gray earlier that the Goncalves family gave, and this is about a month ago, and you can see how they feel. We don't want it to be torn down. We want, we don't want it to be torn down now. We want it to be here for trial. And I completely agree with this. I think this is an egregious step. I think it's way overstepping. We don't even have a trial date set, and they want to tear down, in my opinion, the most critical piece of evidence in this case. They want to tear that down and bury it. And I get it. There's going to be a lot of conspiracy that pops up, and I know there's going to be all the channels popping up and going, look, the school's in on it, and this and that and this and that. I don't have that feeling, but I do feel they're just trying to make this go away. Let's just, we'll destroy it, let it go away, erase what happened, move on. Get to next semester, have the healing garden. This now will start bringing in tourists to the town, around the university. Maybe we can pull in some tuition from this, get people to come to Idaho University. They got to eat in town. You got to eat. You got to stay somewhere. Hotels will be full. I don't like it. I don't like it. It almost makes me feel dirty. I just don't like it. And I get it. We're going to get to that point. But I think that it can be done in a way where it's very well planned. I feel they're going to rush to judgment on this. For some reason, I have this weird feeling that the university is not going to really get the final say with the families. They're just going to go ahead and do something. Mark my words on that. There will be a fight about this. Believe me, in the media. Shit will be thrown. And if the university, they got to do it the right way. Let these 4 families get involved, make the final decision, Don't do it without them. Don't do it without their approval, because shit will get thrown in the media. I'm telling you, Steve will be livid. All right, let's talk about, I just want to pull, let's see, this video here. Kohberger's defense team visiting King Road. We know that the prosecution and the FBI were back out there on the, excuse me, the 31st, October 31st, which was fucking weird anyway. But we'll pull this up. This is from live. I'm live now from Fox. Let's play this video here.
13th, 2022. I'm talking about that quadruple stabbing situation, though. On the campus of the University of Idaho, the alleged killer in all of this, Bryan Kohberger. We have been kind of bringing you updates on some of the developments as we are on the trial track here very, very soon. But this is what we know. New information today in the Bryan Kohberger trial.
John B., thank you so much for the 15 through Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate it. If anybody wants to support the channel, my link is pinned to the top of the chat there. You can buy me a coffee right on the homepage. Much appreciated for supporting the stream. All right, let's keep going here.
This is what we know. Kohberger, of course, is the man accused of stabbing those 4 University of Idaho students to death in their off-campus house in November of 2022. Well, that house is set to be demolished later this month in just a matter of weeks. Now, though, Kohberger's defense team wants to visit the home one more time. So, to talk about this, the trial, and specifically the defense team's visit to the house on King Road, we're going to be joined right now by our friend, legal analyst, criminal defense attorney, Nicole DeBoard, and she joins us. And Nicole, thanks for being with us here. We rely on your expertise and insight so much in the Kohberger case. Now, my question to you is, why would the defense need to visit the home one final time before it gets demolished? Strategically speaking, what is in it for them to do that?
Just sometimes being in the physical space is incredibly helpful. And it's
super chat, super duper duper chat. Res Q says the reason they want it torn down is because of the cover up. It's all because of the cover up. There's a new video posted by We Know What You Did, and the title is Idaho 4 Where They Hid, exposing real footage of masked people inside Banfield cop car inside. Well, Rescue, thanks for watching. I appreciate your $10 super chat. I'm going to say, I don't agree. I probably should agree with you because maybe you would throw me another $10, but I don't agree with you on that one. I don't know. Maybe it was that Bohemian Grove stuff, right? Not too sure. All right, let's keep playing through.
They're going to be the last time. If the home is going to be destroyed, they will never, of course, be able to access that space again. You can look at pictures, but it's just not the same as being there. The things that you can notice as you're trying to put the case together are just different than you can possibly tell from photographs. So it's a
promise I will watch the video. And I will come in my chat, and I'll next Idaho stream, come in my chat, and I will let you know.
Idea just to be on the safe side for the defense team, and quite frankly, I feel certain that the prosecution has done the same to access that scene to make sure that they know what the space feels like. It's hard to get an idea for dimensions when you're not standing in the room, and just look around, take it in, understand exactly where things are in relation to each other.
You say on the safe side, though, I mean, wouldn't they have already gotten everything they need? I mean, what would be, to look for now? It seems like this is somewhat of a, I don't know, last ditch. Would you describe it that way or no?
I really wouldn't. I don't think that they're looking for a particular piece of information or a particular piece of evidence. I think what they want to make sure that they've done is understand the space, because as trial happens, you're going to have witnesses testify about things that they uncovered at a certain location.
Now, hear what I just said. Hear what she just said. This is what I just said before this. They want to get an understanding of the space. And that's what I talked about. Being in that house, standing in it, getting a feeling for what it feels like when you're standing there. How does sound reverberate off the walls if I talk? Now it's going to be different because there's no furniture in there. So sound's going to travel because nothing is dampening that sound. But at least they'll get a feeling of what it feels like in that space. How tight were those rooms? What was the staircase like? What was it like standing in the kitchen looking out that glass slider door? What was it like standing next to Dylan Mortenson's room where that latent shoe print was found? What was it like when you're standing in that doorway looking at the bed where Kaylee and Maddie unfortunately lost their lives, or standing in the room where Xana and Ethan unfortunately lost their lives? Getting a feel for those rooms. How did the alleged killer Bryan Kohberger navigate through that house? Maybe they want to time it and walk that perimeter of that house. Is this possible? You start in the driveway, you walk up the house, you come through the slider, and you just trace that path, that said path. Put a stopwatch on it. Can it be done? I think it can, and obviously it was. But maybe they want to do that. Experiment. Go do that. Allie agrees. Yeah. Do we stand in the room and look out? Have a juror stand there. Act as the suspect. Crack that door open. Look out. Can I see someone standing there? All right, let's keep playing here.
In the home, or you're going to hear testimony about where things may have happened in the home, and looking at images of it is just not the same as being in the physical space. And the attorneys aren't going to be able to do that again once the home is destroyed, of course.
Yeah. So say hypothetically they did find something advantageous or disadvantageous to their case. Will it be admissible, you think?
It possibly could be, but again, I would be surprised if they're actually looking for a piece of evidence or something in particular related to the visit. I suspect they really want to understand, what you can see from one angle if you're standing in one room, what you might be able to hear from one location to the other. They might want to see what the lighting is like inside the house when the lights are on, when the lights are off. I think there are all kinds of things that you can take in if you're just present in a space, as opposed to relying on someone documenting that space in a report, even with solid measurements, even with the three-dimensional engineering type device.
Tsunami with the 7-month memory says, well, at least once the house is removed, we finally see the underground tunnels the suspect entered the house. Obviously, I know what he's doing there, but yeah, very, very funny. The big conspiracy that there were underground tunnels. Yeah, I guess it's going to crush all that theory too. Maybe the underworld tunnels connect all that is Idaho there from the underworld. But that was great. It was it made me laugh. And again, if you're a member here, keep in mind, you have a highlighted membership that you can use. You can go down there and if you are a member, use your highlighted membership. We like to bring those up and we like to see how long you've been supporting the channel. So 7-month membership of support. Thank you, Tsunami. I appreciate you. I personally know you. We talk pretty much on a daily basis. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you. I never knew him in my entire life. We met through this channel, and that is the power of these channels and the power of YouTube. And you just get to meet and talk with fantastic people. And it's never a dull moment when I'm on the phone with them. It's really cool stuff. All right, let's keep playing.
Devices that they have to reconstruct a space. Really looking at pictures or secondhand information about what the space is like is, again, just really not the same. It's sort of a second place replacement.
Yeah, we do have a statement in, though, as well from the University of Idaho. Just kind of elucidating this here. I'm going to read it. Teams representing the defense for Bryan Kohberger will access the King Roadhouse today and tomorrow, Thursday, December 14th, and Friday, December 15th. The defense asked University of Idaho in November for access to the house in December as they prepare their case for a trial, the date of which has not been set. The defense indicated they wanted to take photographs, measurements, and possibly gather drone footage of the House. Nicole, you don't get a sense this is a delay tactic here for the defense team because we don't know the trial. That date has not been set yet. Of course, we're on a trial track here, but that remains to be seen. That's not in the strategy, is it?
I really don't think that it is. I think that it's important, especially since it's been telegraphed to
We
them.
know a lot about their delay tactics. We know a lot about the defense delay tactics.
That this space is going
Constantly
to be destroyed.
delaying.
If they later do have questions about exact measurements or something that they
I
could have
completely agree.
noticed had they
Cynthia
been.
couldn't have said it better. She says that house has a story within those walls. The jurors need to be in that space to fully understand. That's it. I can turn off the live. I think that is the quote of the night. Cynthia, you nailed it. I think my job here is done. All right, bye everybody. No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. We still got a while to go in this stream, but excellent point. Excellent point. I completely agree. 1000%. 1000%.
In the space, they
Yes.
won't be able to go back and gather that
Juju says,
information.
"Mic
So,
drop."
a lot of times
Love
you're
it.
going to access drone footage. You're going to access specific measurements and preparing
good
your
point.
diagrams for a particular.
I don't know, Heather. I mean, technically, the university owns the house now. The owner of the house gave it to the university. They're pretty much free and will to do what they want with it. I'm not sure if there's any type of legal action that Shannon Gray is putting together behind the scenes to try to delay this. Maybe there might be some kind of delay tactic that he's popping up there. But it just remains to be seen. I don't think, knowing the Goncalves family, that they're not going to go down with some type of fight. I'm sure they probably are, whipping up something behind the scenes to kind of slow down this process. Looking into the legality of it and seeing if there is anything, but I don't think they might not be. It's the university's property now. So, we'll have to, remains to be seen. Yeah. Kim makes a great point too. She goes, there'd also be differences in atmosphere and during different times of the day as well. 1000%. I'm glad that you all agree with this because I think it's very egregious. I think it's way out of line. I think it's way too premature. I'm pissed. I'm really pissed at this. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that are pissed. And we may see some protesters there. Maybe some people line up outside that parking lot and don't allow, the excavators to get in, or at least try to delay them. We may see something like that.
And they really need to have that information ready to go so that when they construct their exhibits later, they have it. They're not going to be able to get it once that house is gone.
The victim's parents, Nicole, also expressed concern about tearing down the house before the trial got underway here. Do you think that could impact a jury? Because I was reminded today, and you might remember this as well, there in South Carolina earlier this year, the Alec Murdaugh murder trial, the day jurors rendered their guilty verdict upon Alec Murdaugh,
I would go out there if I lived there.
Got to go to the alleged scene of the crime and take it all in the day they rendered their guilty verdict here. The jury won't get that chance in this case.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's such a great point because it can be a very different feeling for the jurors to actually experience the space, just like it is for the lawyers who are going to actually experience the space for themselves as they prepare their measurements, their exhibits, their photographs, things that they might like to use in trial. Certainly if it's destroyed before trial, you can't ask the jurors to go through and do a walkthrough or to experience the scene for themselves, which can be, especially in a case as horrific as this one, an incredibly...
Paula says if they demo the house, and down the line, Bryan's defense team says it's prejudice, his defense can bring it up on appeal. It is way too premature to taint evidence. Interesting.
Emotional experience.
Yeah, so we know this kind of tour or what have you is happening today and tomorrow. You don't think anyone's going to step in here and get a court to block the demolition, do you, before the 20th?
Allie says, I wouldn't mind being a juror on the case. And if I was, I would want to walk through the house and hear and see everything myself. I completely agree. 1,000%. 1,000%.
Okay. Is there anything afoot here with that? Why would anyone do that if they wanted to?
If they decided to do that, it's because they believe they might need the house, the space, the crime scene, if you will, available for inspection either by the court or by potential jurors in the future, or because they're still gathering information and want to further work on their crime scene diagrams or collecting information about the crime scene to prepare for trial. So it's not impossible. It could happen.
So, Angel's asking the jury request a walkthrough and be denied. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that, but maybe some of my legal scholars in here do. I'm not sure about that. Maybe, they may turn around and say, well, because of the biohazard, but it's weird because in this video, they show the defense team going in. They also showed the prosecution, and none of them wearing masks. None of them wearing boots or protective suits to go in there because they did say it was like a biohazard and because of the chemicals that they used. But I'm not too sure on that one. That's a great point. And maybe someone can answer that question here. Google it and answer it. But that's a really, really great point too.
All right, Nicole DeBord, as always, we do appreciate your time on this Thursday night. And I keep reminding our viewers, Nicole, we're going to rely on your expertise and insight. Once the trial gets underway, once a date gets set, of course, that remains to be seen. Hopefully in the new year, we'll get a better sense of that. Nicole, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's go to Banfield, talking about King Road House being demolished. Let's check this out. And let's play through here. Obviously, News Nation. Look at that. Oh, what a weird sight. All right, let's play through this. Banfield.
She's been reporting on this story from the beginning as well. Were you as surprised as I was when we got this announcement today?
I really was, Ashley. I thought after they had delayed the demolition of this home, they were just going to leave it until trial went through. But once Bryan Kohberger waived his right to a speedy trial and that October date was no more, the university just decided that this was time. It was time to happen. They don't want the house there. It's a really sad reminder of what happened. They don't kind of want those sort of tragedy looky-loos coming by. So it does kind of make sense, but I did think it would last throughout the trial.
I got word that, I've always been concerned about how the families are treated in all of this, that they get the information.
Oh, by the way, to let everybody know in here, I want to let everybody know, if you pay attention to the Karen Reed case, I'm going to be live with Turtle Boy. It's going to be a second time on the channel on December 20th. So that is a couple days away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 days away. That's Wednesday night. I'll be live with Turtle Boy. And then I will be live the next night on the 21st with The Glarer. And we're also going to do some Karen Reed chat as well. So you're going to want to check out both of those shows. And keep in mind, on Tuesday, I'll have the next set of Brent Kopacka videos that I'll be releasing hopefully that week once I go through them all. But I'll definitely be getting that up too, because we're following the Brent Kopacka. We've got exclusive access to getting those files, getting the body cam footage. And I've been releasing them here on my channel. So if you haven't gone over and seen any of the Brent Kopacka videos, I have video 1 and 2, and we're going to get the whole incident as it escalates up, obviously up into the unfortunate shooting of Brent Kopacka. But we'll be releasing that as we go. And if you haven't watched that, you can go on my homepage, go to the Idaho 4 Murders tab, and the Brent Kopacka videos are in there. You can watch them in their entirety with my commentary or without. All right, let's keep playing through here.
Before we do. And I did find out that they were told at 9:30 this morning.
Love The Glarer.
Do we have any idea
Such a cool
when
dude,
the
man.
official announcement came out to the public?
The official announcement came out earlier today. I don't know the exact time and whether or not it hit the family before it hit the public. There was a press release up on the university's website that has been there kind of all day. But we do know that several of the families of the victims were really against the house being torn down. And I too am in that camp, having covered this story at the scene. I think there is a lot that can be gained from seeing the house in person. You kind of remove the opportunity for a future jury to be able to do a walkthrough or to see the scene should they want that. So I definitely was in that camp that thinks perhaps it should have have been there in case you needed it at trial for some reason.
So at the same time that this announcement comes out, and again, I think 9:30 this morning to tell the family.
I'm going to answer this really quick. Molly's asking anything new about Chelsea Grimm. If you're new here, again, we've been following the Chelsea Grimm case. I have one of the most comprehensive files on YouTube about her case. Unfortunately, there's not any new news. I know Steve is going to be back out there soon doing some more drone mapping. I have to touch base with him. I haven't talked to him in a couple of days, but I'll reach out to him when I get a little bit of time to see if and when he's going back out there. The last update we had was the supplement reports that I read a couple of days ago, giving a little bit more insight to kind of what was going on in Chelsea's home out in San Diego. As you know, Chelsea's car has been or is going to be sold, and her lease on her apartment has been let go. So that is sad. And again, there's nothing really new. Carrie and I are still trying to chase down the Phoenix files. The last screenshot that she sent me, and she actually called the department and said that it's still processing. Apparently, they've have a lot of documents that are processing. I think the Phoenix file is going to be huge for us as well. We're anticipating on getting it. And I'm sure come Monday or Tuesday, I'll be poking Carrie again and say, give him a call again, because we want to get the file. And we just actually re-inquired back to Coconino. And this time we're asking for any additional body cam or photographs, anything in that file we can get. We're trying to get it. The thing is, when you do freedom of information, you have to be very, very specific on what you get. And I'm letting that creator that likes to watch me, because I know she's watching me, I'm giving her some heads up right now. You're going to be very specific in what you ask for, but it's just the timing built in. So, all right, we'll keep playing through, but I'm sorry. There hasn't been anything new, and I wish we had more. I just don't. And everything is pretty much silent. I haven't heard from anybody. I haven't spoken to any of her friends. And, oh gosh, last contact. Let me see. Last contact I had with one of her friends was, and I should reach back out to her and see if she heard anything. Last contact I had with one of her friends was on 12/7. So about a week. About a week. Okay. Let's keep playing the video.
Families this, and then almost
kind of all over the place.
Almost simultaneously. Maybe it's after, but come on, it's day of to tell the families. It just feels like it's quite a blow to them. This has been hard fought for them. And then on the same day, the defense is in there.
5 likes away.
Idea
100. Let's get to 100.
The guy who potentially
smash that like button. Let's get this damn stream out into that algorithm. Let's get people over here in the LTL. We're talking Steve Goncalves. We're going to get to that in a minute. And we're also talking about the demolition of the King Road house. I'm pissed. It should not be torn down before trial. I have stated why it shouldn't be. The chat has spoken as well. And we're pissed. We're pissed. All right, let's play.
Was in there, right? If he's guilty, he was in there. He created this horror. And his allies are in there today. On the same day that the families find out it's going to be torn down. It's just it's a lot to process. Do we know what they're doing exactly?
What they're doing with the house, they're planning on raising the home to the ground, and we don't know exactly what they're going to do with that space, but the University of Idaho does plan on putting up a memorial to the victims. I don't believe it's going to be at that space. I think they really want to try to deter people from going there in the future. And it's interesting, Ashley, as you said, this moment of this day and this timing, it makes me think of when the house will be raised to the ground. It should take a few days after the 28th, which brings us essentially to the 30th. Which is the 1-year anniversary of Bryan Kohberger's arrest.
Yeah, I remember, and it sticks with me as well, because it's the day. This will be the day before my birthday, and Kohberger's arrest was the day after my birthday. So,
wow.
What a sandwich. So, what do we know about the defense team and what they had planned for today and for tomorrow?
Well, actually, we know they have already been to the house previously. They've already been to the property and inside, and they've taken,
All
photos.
right, 104. Let's let it rain some memberships. We're going to give some memberships away. I'm going to let it rain. Let it rain. 5 coming through. 5 coming through. 5 coming through. 5 free memberships. Enjoy the membership. 1 month on me. All I ask you to do is when those monthly memberships expire, just re-up. You don't have to do $4.99. You can re-up at $1.99. It gives you access to all the members only content here, and there's a plethora of it. I got to get back to doing members only streams. I promise I will do that. So 5 coming in from me, 104 likes. I appreciate it. Enjoy the free memberships. The free memberships.
And done some tests with whatever it is that they garnered from there. And they're doing similar things today and tomorrow. They're getting inside, taking measurements, taking photos. I believe they also want to look into possibly doing some overhead drone footage. And those are the kinds of things they're doing within the next sort of 24 hours. And we also know that the FBI had been in there in November to similarly go back, do another walkthrough, take more measurements, take more photos. And I know that the FBI, according to the university, had gotten in there and really wanted to use some sort of devices to do visual reconstructions of the home that could be used at trial.
The idea that, again, Bryan Kohberger's people are in there, and it could be the second time that Bryan Kohberger's had a connection inside the house. Could be. Caitlin Becker, thank you for this. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to News.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Okay, let's do this. I want to go back to, this was interesting, Crime Fix. I want to pull this up. We went through a little bit of this the other night, and I kind of talked over it a lot, but I want to go back to it. I think this is important as well. Let's talk about the home, and then we're going to talk about Steve
will
and
be
Christy
torn down
and
after all
Steve's
by the end of
new discovery, talking about he has a video.
the year. It's something at least 2 of the victims' families fought.
I knew in my heart what was best for those girls and Ethan. I knew what was best was to keep that around until they did more.
But the school now says the house is coming down. I'm Anjanette Levy. It's Friday, and this is Crime Fix, Law and Crime's look at the biggest stories in crime. It's been more than a year since Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were murdered at the house on King Road. Police held the scene for weeks, often going back to the house to look at things or collect more evidence. Following the arrest of Bryan Kohberger for their murders, the owners of the King Road house gave the property to the university, which is totally understandable. A horrific crime occurred there. Asbestos and other biohazards were discovered inside. Who would want to live there? The school.
But here's the funny thing about it. The funny thing about it is they talk about this, but everybody's continued to walk through that house, and everybody that has seen the video of it hasn't gone in with any protective gear, hasn't gone in with a mask or anything like that. So that's a little.
Wants to tear down the house, but Kaylee Goncalves' family specifically wanted the house to stay around until after the trial. I broke the story of the family wanting the house to remain standing last June. Here's the Goncalves family attorney, Shannon Gray.
Big piece of evidence that potentially a jury might want to see it. I mean, there's sights and sounds and viewpoints and angles. It's an odd shaped house where witnesses were standing, where potentially the defendant was standing. Locations, how you could hear something, how you couldn't hear it. If there was video or any other evidence outside, what was the vantage point of those videos, if they picked up audio or anything. So a lot of things I think are important about that home. And we've just stressed, just hold on, wait till the trial is over and then do whatever you want with the property.
Now, after the outcry from the Goncalves and Kernodle families, the university then changed course and halted plans for a possible October demolition. Then, soon after Kohberger, who maintains his innocence, waived his right to a speedy trial, prosecutors and the FBI actually went back to the house on King Road. At the time, the university said they were there to take measurements for audio and other trial exhibits that would be constructed. That wouldn't have been possible before with the tight time frame of a speedy trial. Now the university has announced that Kohberger's defense team was also being given access to the house so they could do their own.
Right. I'm going to do my pitch one more time. If you are new here, if you are old here, okay, YouTube, even if you have your bell notifications on, YouTube is not going to notify you. I'm going to make this really simple for everybody. There's 173 people in here right now watching. Hi, my name is Bryan. This is the LTL True Crime Podcast. I stream almost every night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So all you need to do is come by my channel at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll see my thumbnail there. Just click into the live thumbnail and you'll see me streaming. You don't have to wait for a notification. Everybody says, oh, notification. I stream almost every single night at the same time. Almost every single night. Maybe 2 nights a week I might miss. So if you don't see me live, I'm not there. Sometimes, if I feel like after work, when I work nights, right around 10:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will stream. But 95% of the time, no, 98% of the time, I am live every night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't wait for the bell notification. YouTube's not going to fucking notify you. They're not going to notify you. So just keep a mental note. Set an alarm. Set an alarm. LTL. 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there's my advert.
Own work there, including taking measurements and
Just
getting some drone footage. The house will be torn down on December 28th, 2 days before the 1-year mark of Kohberger's arrest. The president of the university issued the following statement. It is the grim reminder of the heinous act that took place there. While we appreciate the emotional connection some family members of the victims may have.
We are gearing up at 12,500 subscribers. I'm at 12,492. It'd be really nice to update the big board before we go off live tonight at 12,500. So if you're just popping by, you enjoy Idaho 4 content or just true crime in general, join that subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. And let's get 12,500 tonight. It'd be a great little milestone here tonight to bust. Lady Law, thank you so much for gifting the 1 membership over. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support. And welcome new member. Smiling Sleuth, welcome new member. All right, let's keep playing.
This house, it is time for its removal and to allow the collective healing of our community to continue. So there you have it.
Angela,
the president of the university says the house is going to be torn down. And it sounds like the defense and the prosecution are totally on board with this. And somebody who would know about how important this is and what it means and whether or not it's the right decision is Bobby Chacon. He's a retired FBI agent and an attorney. And he and I have discussed this whole thing in the past, and we'll have more on that coming up on Law and Crime another time. But right now we're talking about it here on Crime Fix. Bobby, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Sure, thanks for having me.
You know, the FBI, they went back there last month, I guess, and took some measurements and did some things at the house to prepare it for trial. Now the university says we're tearing it down. So what are your thoughts on, first of all, the university saying, indeed, we are going to tear this house down on December 28th?
Well, I know the reaction that most of the public is kind of feeling like, no, don't do that. Until we get a conviction, we can't, like, you know, anything that's even possibly relevant to this case shouldn't be destroyed and things like that. But I can tell you, I was part of a forensic team on the FBI for 19 years, and they've gotten all the evidentiary value out of that house that they're going to get. They've got all the forensic value out of that house that they're going to get. There's not much more they can get. And I know there are some trials that allow the jury to go to the location. I've never been a big fan of that. I think that can be misleading. I think that in the courtroom is where you get the best evidence presented to you. I just got off a case where I was a juror for 5 months on a case where murder happened in a house. And we had both.
I have to say this. Kimberly, you have the best name. Kimberly, blah, 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 blah. So funny. And she said, hey, Mr. Bryan, thank you for being very nice and welcome. I'm new here. I'm grateful for all your hard work, and we'll be watching at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time every evening. Well, thank you. We welcome in new chatters. We welcome in the new crew, and thank you for being here, being part of what we do here. I just want to be honest with everybody here. We stay away from the conspiracy. We stick to the facts. We get the legal documents. We read through the legal documents. We've been actually sourcing our own legal documents in cases and bringing that forward, like we're doing with the Brent Kopaka case, like we've done with Chelsea Grimm case, and having the opportunity to learn how to go through that process and learn and being able to be, I guess, excited when we get those case files and when those are the legal documents. And when you get those in the mail and you have access to the video, the body cam videos and the cameras and the phone calls and the legal documents, it's like a rush. I can present this now to my subscribers base, and they can get a fair understanding what has happened or what is going on in the investigation. So it's a pretty exhilarating feeling to be able to do that and bring forward stuff like that and keeping it true. We keep things true here, and we keep the victims in mind. We keep their families in mind, and we keep those communities in mind as well too. All right, let's keep playing.
County and state forensics teams do examinations in that house. They provide us with sketches, with photographs, with video, and then the results, obviously, of their forensic examinations. And they walked us through the crime scene. Our case, the murder happened in the kitchen, and then there was blood in the laundry room. It all matched up with witness statements and other things. And so I think that the value that house holds has been sufficiently obtained by the prosecution, or as you stated, in this case, the prosecution wouldn't agree. If the prosecution thought they needed that to make this case, they would fight that destruction. They could try to get some kind of TRO, some kind of injunctive relief to stop the university from doing that. But the prosecution realizes that they've obtained all the forensic and the other, even the eyewitness probably did a walkthrough of it. The one eyewitness roommates that they have, I'm sure they did walkthroughs with the police and so I think they've gotten everything they need out of that house, personally.
So just to be clear with our viewers and our listeners, when they take the jury on, a field trip, if you will, I mean, they don't call it that, but they call it a jury view. When they take the jurors to the crime scene, they will take them inside. But, there were some emails that came to light over the summer in which the prosecution and the defense had agreed that the house could go back to the university. They were like, okay, the university can have the house back. We've done all we need to do there. It sounds like there was like asbestos discovered there. There was also, a lot of chemicals apparently were used to process this scene. So this is a highly contaminated environment, and they didn't feel like it was necessary to take jurors in there because you can do what's called these Faro scans. I've seen that in some trials where they scan the place. It's like this 3D thing, and they can capture all of these images, and then they can do trajectory stuff. They can do all this really fancy stuff. They can also design computer animation models. I've seen that in some trials too, where it's like a virtual tour of a house. And this is a really crazy shaped house with a third floor addition and everything. So that was the objection of the family in one instance. Like one of their attorneys said, this is a really odd shaped house with like these staircases and, all these different places. And you might hear one thing in one spot, but not another. So what is your response to that, Bobby?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, back in my day, it was called an Icon Total Station, but it's whatever they're using, they do these laser generated, computer generated models. People have seen this in CAD and in architectural drawings. If you look on some of the real estate websites that you can do house tours through and stuff. And so the computer software is very sophisticated nowadays. You can almost remodel anything onto a computer that you can show existed in real life. Like I said, I don't think there's a great benefit. I don't think there's pretty much any benefit of keeping that house. I don't think they planned on doing a jury view of the house. That's done not in every trial, certainly. And there's different criteria in different states and different judges. use different criteria for when it would benefit a jury to see a house. I don't think, obviously the prosecution doesn't think in this case that that's going to be a great benefit to a jury in the future, or else they wouldn't agree to have the house, allow the university to destroy the house. Remember, the university owns the house. I mean, it's property of someone else. Something tragic and something horrible and evil happened there, but it actually is the property of someone else, and so they can do with it what they wish in the long term. And that's after the government and the prosecution and the police have gained every piece of value of that property. And in this case, I'm confident in the prosecution position that they've gotten everything. The FBI went in there more recently anyway, with a team that I think did exactly what you alluded to. They did a computer scan, a laser scan of every inch of that house, of every little nook and cranny of the house, and those kind of things and stuff. And so I don't see it as a huge detriment to the successful prosecution in this case.
It'll be really interesting to see those exhibits when they are finished. I mean, it's amazing what can be done these days, and what can be done with audio enhancements. I mean, there are recordings too from Ring door cameras that are referenced in the probable cause affidavit, talking about hearing a thud and like a yelp and screaming and a dog barking. I mean, we may know exactly when somebody passed away and was murdered in this case due to that type of evidence. The defense is going in there today, Bobby, and they were allowed in there yesterday as well. So the defense is being given access to prepare their case. They're doing their own measurements and getting some drone footage and things of that nature, right? I mean, I don't understand where they're going with that, but obviously they're probably going to want their own experts to refute or do whatever with whatever the state is producing with the FBI. So, I mean, what do you think is like happening here as far as the defense perspective goes? I mean, they're going to go in there and take their own measurements. I mean, measurements are measurements. I mean, I'm thinking of a measuring tape, like a measuring tape's an inch is an inch.
I mean, they could have their own expert do a video walkthrough and say, based on the sounds, and they probably did a timeline based on the affidavits and everything else that's come out in court, of all the sounds that you just said were heard here and there. And they could do a video walkthrough by one of their experts and say, look, he couldn't possibly have been here and there and there. And so the government's timeline, the prosecution's timeline couldn't have happened because our expert, and you can see our expert walk through this house on video, and we're going to simulate the sound here and that other sound there, and where the prosecution says the defendant was here and there. And so they could do a video walkthrough of something like that at the demonstration, that they could make a motion to play for the jury later on. So, they could be doing something like that, but it's beyond just simple measurements, because they probably have the measurements that were taken numerous times. And in discovery, they'll get, if they haven't already, all the results of the FBI's exams and the FBI forensic stuff. So my guess is, they've got all that. That's fine. But they're probably going to want their own expert to do a simulated walkthrough. They probably can, by the filings already, figure out what the prosecution might allege were the defendant's movements through the house. And they're going to try to refute that by saying, well, our expert did a walkthrough, and if he made that sound over here, he couldn't have possibly made the other sound over there because it's not enough time to get down this stairway and, of course, this room. So they're doing, I would imagine the defense is doing things like that they're going to do like some kind of demonstration on video that's going to then be played for the jury.
And finally, Bobby, this is a house that was a happy place for so many years, at least for the couple of years that those kids lived there. And it's now become just this kind of grim, macabre symbol of something so awful. And I'm sure there are people with not the best of intentions who go by there. There are people, they've had it under guard. I mean, even the university has had it under guard since they took possession of it. Do you think maybe that's the best thing to do, is to tear it down and move forward? Just because, I mean, I'm sure the university wants it off, they want it gone for certain reasons. I'm sure they have their own motivations, but also this thing could be like some crazy tourist attraction for people who just don't have the best of intentions. Do you think it's the best thing do you think this is the best thing to do, is just to get rid of it?
I personally do, and we've seen this in past cases. I mean, I think O.J. Simpson's house was knocked down, even though that wasn't the site of the crime. I mean, it was the site where he may have tracked blood from the crime scene, allegedly. So I mean, we've had cases where these horrific crime scenes have been either destroyed or significantly remodeled, so that you don't have those macabre gawkers come by. I mean, you could have like a tour. Somebody could, famous murder sites of Los Angeles. Get in this bus, and we're going to drive you by all these, evil places that evil happened and stuff. And there are people that do that, and it's unfortunate. And I think the university probably wants to head off something like that. I think it's appropriate, probably to put a memorial in that space. But the house itself, it just has a feeling of the macabre and evil. And I think that it's more appropriate to kind of, in my mind, and this is just my personal opinion, to knock it down and put up some kind of nice memorial to the victims where people can go and spend time in that place and remember, who these good people were and the bad thing that happened to them. So I don't think the house itself needs to be there as a reminder of the evil. I think it's better probably to have some kind of memorial, and hopefully the university will consider doing that. I don't know if they've mentioned that at all, but I would think that would be, much more appropriate. But we've seen this in previous cases where houses or places like that have either been destroyed or significantly altered so that it doesn't look or feel like that anymore.
Yeah, they haven't announced any specific plans for it, but the only plans we know right now are that December 28th, it's coming down. And we will, of course, have that covered for you here on Law and Crime. I do want to mention there's not yet been a trial date set for Bryan Kohberger at this point. He remains behind bars. He faces the possibility of the death penalty if he's convicted. And right now, this thing's moving toward trial, whenever that may be. So, Bobby Chacon, thanks again for coming on Crime Fix. We appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
That's it for Crime Fix on this Friday, December 15th, 2023. I'm Anjanette Levy. Have a great
All right, so just wanted to play a little bit about that. We're going to get to the Steve Goncalves kind of nuggets that have been being left out there. I want to go back to the video that we had on November 14, 2023 with Brian Enton. I want to speed up a little bit in that video and talk about Kaylee's phone. Again, Steve's letting out some information there. And then we're going to go back to what he talked about on Banfield, this said video. So let's bring that back up and then talk a little bit about that. I'm just going to go to minute 37 in the interview. About right here. Let's listen. This is what we're going to talk about not getting. And the funny thing is, after this video comes out, we hear a couple weeks later that they start getting access to Kaylee's phone. They announced that on the Goncalves family Facebook page. And they start saying, we got access. We're going to get access to her photos and videos that we have never seen before. And I find that strange. Almost the timing was a little weird. All right, let's keep playing through.
Helpful too, because having eyes and ears all across the world, they pick up things that you would not, you never see a story. We've gotten photos, videos from her friends that she grew up with that we would never have seen those photos. We've never would have got those videos. So that in itself was worth anything that we've gone through as far as somebody leaving a jerk comment or something like that. It doesn't bother me, but knowing that I'm going to get photos that I never would have got and see people share, experiences and things that they did with our daughter. There's stories that we would have never known about. You want to know everything about your daughter.
You don't know them all. Down in College Town, who she knew, and people say, hey, I just want to let you know that one night we were at a party and I actually met Kaylee and she played beer pong with me or something, and it's just like, thank you for that. You could totally visualize it. You could totally picture it.
And pictures with it,
Well, you mentioned like going through her phone, like there was pictures and.
Well, I was going through my messages with her on my phone.
On your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Just going through old messages.
Hers. Yeah.
We're trying to get her phone.
I can't wait to get hers one day, someday.
That's all still in evidence, obviously.
Some people got backups, but we never got one. There was more complications with Kaylee's phone. So.
But going through your old messages.
Yeah, I just did. I haven't.
These are huge nuggets here. We never knew any of this information. Again, if you haven't seen this video in its entirety, I'm going to drop the link there. You can watch it.
I'm back and read through them, and over the weekend I started reading, scrolling through and reading some of our messages.
I could have my phone out and Caleb would just grab it and say, Dad, we're taking photos. Any of the girls will do that.
And you literally be like, oh my gosh, will you stop taking photos?
And
like,
then
is that all you do?
And then you send them to their
and
phone.
and she'd be like, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'd be like, stop, like, don't get away, like I run
Different
and hide
generation
from the camera. Yes. And I'm like, I'm so thankful. Like I yelled at her so many times, be like, put your phone away now. Don't you snap another picture.
Do you still, I think you mentioned to me, like, did you or do you still text her phone? I mean,
yeah, I do.
Yeah, she hasn't got it turned off.
So you pay the bill.
I want to say, like, it's funny, but it's, I guess, funny that she said that. I'm not saying the way that it's funny, but when my brother passed, his phone number was still active for quite a length of time, and I used to call and just listen to his voicemail so I could hear his voice, and then I would send text messages as well. And I have a phone actually that still has all our text messages back and forth, and I've kept that phone. And every once in a while I'll power it up and just read through some of the text messages that we used to have. But
yeah. And we hope to get it back. We'll eventually should get it back.
Is it comforting texting her?
Yeah, it's usually when I don't. Yeah, it just sucks because you just want her to reply so bad, so bad. And I go to our last message all the time, and it's just crazy to me because I remember exactly where I was, what I was doing, what we were talking about. Me and Steven were out when she sent me that picture. And I would have never known that Kaylee would be dead in 12 hours from that picture. And Maddie. Never. Both of them laughing their butts off.
Yeah, most parents don't get, for better or worse, we see the very last moments all the way. It's like, it was like a camera was following them around. Like,
it was,
That's why I feel like so many people relate to two girls laughing, one waving her arm, and they're talking about boys, and they were over at a club, and there's other boys there, and they're going and getting grub food, and she's like, oh, don't worry, I'll share it with you. It just seemed like you're watching their lives as it was just part of your life, and then what it ends, how it ends, and you're just like, there's
to know that he knew what he had planned, his plan, he was planning it out right then and there. As they were eating, he was planning on their murder right then and there. I mean, he was getting himself all hyped up, all dressed, packing his little bag.
Thank you.
And our children know.
Sickening.
Killing someone is just, that's God's decision. He decides when people come and go. You've got to be you got to be careful when you decide that. I know it's somebody's job, and that's a different circumstance when they go to war or they're a police officer. But as our kids, and they get mad and they say something, dirty or ugly to their siblings, we're like, no. You don't wish any of that on anyone, because that's just not acceptable. You got.
All right, I'm going to just pull out of this because I want to get to the most updated video. And again, if you haven't seen this video here, I'm going to pop the link here in the chat. I urge you to go over and watch it. It's about an hour and 15-minute interview, and it's probably one of the most compelling interviews that the Goncalves family's done to date. And we're going to pull up the interview that Steve did with Banfield about 10 hours ago last night. All right, let's play through this. I'm going to back this up and let's hear what Steve had to say. And he talks about video of Kohberger that he's seen that no one has seen.
Joined now live by Steve Goncalves. He is the father of one of the 4 students killed, Kaylee Goncalves. Steve, thank you for being on tonight. Just your reaction to getting this news. Was this a surprise, hearing that there's a date scheduled and it is December 28th?
Yeah, I was surprised that we're at a moment in the case that we don't even have a trial date. We've had a trial date for almost the vast majority once they had a suspect. So we don't have a trial date, but we have a date to have largely the biggest piece of evidence being destroyed, which just seems backwards.
So I would have expected that something this monumental would have been discussed behind the scenes, that your lawyer, Shannon Gray, would have been in conversations at least to give you guys, enough time to process this. And it sounds like that's not the case. You didn't get much time, different than the time that we got in terms of this announcement.
No, and I kind of take this as from a perspective of that my opinion's not important as a parent. That's not it. What is important is the lead investigators at the county, state, and federal level, and it is to my knowledge that they are not now agreed. And we tried to get them to all come in agreement and address, come out with a formal statement. So if they can't all agree, I find it very hard for the parents to all agree. We're all trying to get through this the best way we can. I want to be absolutely respectful to every single one of the parents. I understand that this has to go down, and I'm not going to fight it forever. And I want to be careful what I fight, because this is a losing battle. But
well, it's a long battle as well, as we've come to understand. That brings me to the issue of Mrs. Chapin. Ethan Chapin's mom, Stacy, has given that statement to me, saying that we're okay with this at this point. We agree with the university. We think it's in the best interest of the kids who are there, including her 2 kids, and the community as a whole. What are your thoughts about that?
I totally respect it. I get it. I have leaked footage. I've seen things that they may have not seen.
What was that? Let's go back.
I totally respect it. I get it. I have leaked footage. I've seen things that they may have not seen. I know for a fact the path that this white Elantra, this car took, and people are going to.
Huh? Did Steve just say what I thought he said? Let's go back.
What are your thoughts about that?
I totally respect it. I get it. I have leaked footage. I've seen things that they may have not seen. I know for a fact the path that this white Elantra, this car took, and people are going to wonder what he was doing when he parks in certain locations for extended amount of time. What was he looking at? I want to know what he was looking at, and I don't know how you can see what this man was looking at without the house being there. What windows was he peering into? Why did he pick that location to stop at? Why did he keep going back to these certain locations? And I don't know about the other 12 or 13 times that he was there. I just know of the day that this happened and the footage that was given to me.
Wow.
So I'm going to do what's best for my girl. I'm going to protect her. I'm going to weigh on the side of what's best for her and making sure that I'm not going to let something slip through our hands that I could have said something. But I do understand it has to go.
I have this question for you because up until now I hadn't really contemplated this, but do you think it's at all possible that the prosecution is so confident?
Obviously the Linda Lane footage is out there. We know about that. But we've always talked about, and you can go back to streams months ago when Laura used to be on the channel, and we talked about that camera position in that house behind King Road. And I think there is a camera there. I'm almost certain there was or is. And I believe that footage has been given as well, too, or collected.
About their case, they're not worried at all about the house standing.
I've been told that exactly. I've been told 100%. The amount of stuff we have, Steve, relax. You're a very aggressive a father. Relax. But it's not in my character to just sit back and just know that an opportunity isn't being seized upon. And I couldn't live with myself. I couldn't live with myself if later on, something happened and a jury member said, you know what, it really came down to the fact that I couldn't see firsthand. They told us the ideal jury member was someone who had thousands of acres and had no time to watch TV. He was out on the farm. Well, I don't feel like that kind of guy was going to see the footage that I seen and not want to understand what was going on in the house. And a computer program is going to mean nothing to that farmer. Almost zero value in a computer model to a farmer like that.
I want to dovetail off something you just said, and that is that they've told you that, Steve, the amount of stuff we have, relax. Are you referring to like victims advocates or people actually in the know of the case, that they have such a solid case that you should rest easy?
Because I've made myself vocal, people have reached out to me, and some of those people have just said that if what I know is accurate, Steve, there's a massive amount of information.
Well, you ever see that video that supposedly is Kohberger back around that time, the morning after, and he's driving in the background? There's been some footage of that, and I want to see if I can find it. And it's actually kind of creepy. Let me see. I mean, it's not confirmed. Hang on. Let's see. I've seen the video before, and it's kind of hard to find. It's kind of buried, but it has a reporter, and he's literally around that time, and you see in the background this white car drive by, and they kind of like zoom in and superimpose it, and it fucking looks like an Elantra. Yeah, yes, I've seen that. And the reporter's like out there, we're in front of King Road, and this horrible thing happened last night, and 4 students, and then all of a sudden you see this white car drive by. It's super creepy. I mean, it's not confirmed that's him, but it's like, wow. You know what I mean? If they bring that up in court, my mouth will drop.
This case will open up other investigators to know that there's a whole nother level of data being collected on people, and some of that will come out in this case.
Thank you for watching. Go to News.
All right. Banfield. All right. About 10 o'clock here on the East Coast. I think I'm going to wrap this puppy up. We're getting close to 2 hours. I want to appreciate everybody stopping over, all the new subscribers. Let me see if did we hit 12,500? Not yet. We're about 12,493. We're getting there close. I appreciate that. But what I want to do is I want to do a members only stream. I'm going to drop the link for that. So if you want the after party and after show to continue, we're going to pop over there for about a half an hour. I got some things I want to talk about. We'll do that in the members only. And come join the fun. Click on that link. If you are a member, we'll have the after party. And I'm going to pop that stream up here in a couple of minutes. For all of you that are not members and you want to partake in that, you can. Just go down and hit join down below. Sign up for $1.99. You come in and hang out. I got a few things I want to talk about over there. And that's going to be it. So I appreciate all of the new subscribers over here for hanging out, all the new people that have come in. We're going to have a lot of great footage and a lot of great shows that will be coming up this week. I have Turtle Boy returning on December 30th. We're going to talk Karen Reed. I have the Glera on the 21st. We'll be over here talking Karen Reed as well. And we should have the second records dump in Brent Kopaka. And when I get the time to get that together and presented, I will get that out for you. So come join the after party if you are a member. A couple things I want to talk to everybody about over there. The link is dropped. Head on over to the chat, and I'll see you all over there in a few minutes. Let me just pull that up so I can get into the chat too. Sweet. I am there. Everybody's there. Head on in. Head on in, everybody. Head over to the after party. Link is dropped for members. I'm going to wrap this puppy up. Thank you all for being here. LTL True Crime Podcast. I will be back tomorrow night when we're going to read through the Brent Kopaka case file, and you're not going to want to miss that. You can see the thumbnail is already up, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be there. I'm hoping you there on this awesome Sunday night, and we'll start reading through some of that file. Thank you again for all being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in, and I'll see you tomorrow night. All right, everybody, have an amazing night, and we will all talk soon. Bye.